This is a story about a certain family lineage that has inherited 3 rituals from mother to daughter across generations. First, let me describe this lineage. In this lineage, daughters were considered the property of their mothers, and there was a certain ritual in which the daughters were treated as material. The mother gave birth to 2 or 3 girls, and she selected one as the material. Although there might also have been a possibility of having a boy, it is unclear what they would have done in such a case. The chosen daughter was given 2 names, one of which was a hidden name that only the mother knew, and was kept secret for the daughter's whole life. To ensure that the true identity of the name would never be discovered if it became known to someone else, a completely different reading was given to the name's character, which only the mother could know, even if someone else understood the characters. Even if there were only the mother and daughter alone, the mother would never use the hidden name. It may be similar to a taboo name, but it is said that it was done to emphasize and prove that the daughter was the mother's property. Furthermore, on the day when the hidden name was given, a dressing table was prepared, and it was an unspoken rule never to show the dressing table to the daughter except on her 10th, 13th, and 16th birthday. This was also a preparation for the future day. The daughter's education starts at a young age with the goal of increasing her value as a material, without ever being called by her real name. On the other hand, the daughter who was not chosen will be raised in a completely ordinary way. For example, cutting up the face of a cat or dog into pieces. Keeping only the torso with the tail cut off as a pet. Those around the daughter all treated this as a living being and instilled the belief in her that it was true. Teaching witchcraft using cat ears and whiskers, and killing mice with it. Dissecting spiders and reassembling them to their original shape. Adding feces and urine to meals. I can only share a small part of the whole story as it is too difficult to write about, but just hearing these things makes me feel sick to my stomach. About a third of these acts were related to animals, insects, and especially cats, but there is a reason for this. In this family lineage, having relations with men is only for the purpose of bearing children, and the relationship is cut off once a sufficient number of daughters are born. However, despite the conditions being presented in advance, there were some men who sought to uncover the secrets of the family lineage and witchcraft. As a response to this, starting from a certain generation, they began using witchcraft to transfer evil spirits to men when they had intercourse with them. By doing so, all the grudges of animals that they had killed, such as cats, were sent to the men's homes, where misfortunes began to occur. In this way, they made sure that the men would not pry into the family's internal affairs. This is also why animals such as cats were often used in their education, abnormal education to form distorted common sense, distorted values, distorted tastes, etc., continues between a mother and daughter for 13 years. During this time, 2 out of 3 rituals were performed. There are 2 rituals, one at age 10 and the other at age 13. During the first ritual, the daughter is taken to the vanity table by her mother and instructed to provide her nails. The daughter was introduced to this vanity table for the first time. Providing her nails means peeling off her nails, of course. The daughter peeled off her nails herself and gave them to her mother. Her mother put them in the top of the 3 drawers in the vanity, together with paper where the daughter's hidden name was written. Her mother then spends the entire day sitting in front of the vanity. This is the first ritual. The second ritual takes place at age 13. In a similar fashion, the daughter is instructed to provide her teeth in front of the vanity. She plucks out her teeth herself and her mother puts them in the second drawer of the vanity with a paper with her hidden name on it. Again, her mother spends the entire day sitting in front of the vanity. This is the second ritual. After completing these 2 rituals, there is no education for 3 years until age 16. The daughter suddenly receives her freedom without any explanation. This means that everything was prepared by the time she reached 13 years old. By this time, most daughters have already become living dolls exactly as their mothers had wished, but many daughters try to live as normal girls from their remaining true emotions. And 3 years later, on the day when the daughter turns 16, the final ritual takes place. The final ritual, which is for the mother to eat her daughter's hair in front of the vanity table. It was essential to ingest it into the body. The mother cuts off all of her daughter's hair and eats it ravenously while staring at the vanity table. The daughter is just staring blankly. Eventually, the mother finishes eating her daughter's hair and speaks her daughter's true name for the first and last time. With this, the ritual is completed, and the purpose is achieved. From the next day, the mother becomes like an insane person, constantly sucking her own hair and remaining isolated until she passes away. Literally just a shell of the mother and something completely different from her. Her spirit existence had reached a place that no one had seen or heard of or could possibly know. Everything up until this point was to obtain the qualifications to go to that place, and it was achieved by the final ritual. In that unknown place, mothers who had qualified in the same way up until then were living, and it exists as a paradise that will never become dirty. The mothers who obtained the qualifications through the final ritual were taken to that paradise, and only a shell remained that continued to suck their hair. That was the purpose, to obtain a new life. The remaining daughter is raised by the mother's sisters. The reason for giving birth to 2 or 3 children, not just one, was for this purpose. After the mother is gone, the mother's sisters, who were raised normally, take care of the daughter. The daughter, released from her mother, has sex with a man when her hair returns to its original length and gives birth to children. And now, she repeats exactly the same thing as her mother and heads towards the place where her mother waits. This is the explanation of this family line. There were more detailed contents, but the main topic starts here, so let's move on for now. In fact, this bad tradition did not last very long. Gradually, the questioning of this bad tradition grew. As the attitude of the family began to settle in, the bad habit gradually disappeared and eventually became prohibited. However, as something that should not be forgotten, the tradition of the hidden name and the vanity table remained. The hidden name was kept as proof of a mother, and the vanity table was passed down as a celebratory gift. As they began to interact with the surrounding residents little by little, more and more people built families as couples. So, some time passed, and in a certain year, a woman got married and became a wife. Her name was Yachio. She was born after the bad habit had disappeared and was raised quite normally under her mother's care. She was loved by those around her and led an ordinary life. She found a good partner and married after years of dating. She knew about her family history a little from her mother, but she was not particularly interested. A few years after becoming a wife, she gave birth to her daughter and named her Takako. She also followed the tradition of giving a hidden name and prepared a vanity table similar to hers. And it was thought that happy days would continue. However, a strange incident occurred on the day when Takako, their daughter, turned 10. That day, Yachio had gone out to see her parents, leaving only Takako and her husband at home. When Yachio returned home at night after finishing her errands, an unbelievable scene awaited her. Takako was dead with several of her fingernails peeled off and several teeth missing. On the floor was a piece of paper with Takako's secret name that was supposed to have been hidden away. The peeled nails and pulled teeth were scattered on Takako's dressing table. Her husband was nowhere to be seen. Yachio did not understand what had happened and could only cry by her daughter's body. Neighbors who noticed the strange situation immediately rushed to the scene, but Yachio was just crying with Takako all along. The residents decided to inform Yachio's parents for now, and some went out to search for her husband. This left she alone. That night, she committed suicide by Takako's side. When the residents informed Yachio's parents and told them about the scene, her parents appeared calm and said, "We can imagine what happened. He must have tried to perform the ritual which she had heard from Yachio, but she hadn't told him everything, so he only knew a fragment of information. He was waiting until Takako turned 10 years old." They then went to Yachio's house together. When everyone arrived, Yachio, who had been crying just a moment ago, was also dead. The residents were just shocked and couldn't do anything else. Her parents remained calm throughout the ordeal and said, "No one is allowed to enter until we come out," and did not come out for a while. After a few hours, the parents finally came out and told the residents, "We will offer prayers for them. You don't need to look for her husband. You will find out the reason for this soon." For the next few days, they could not find the whereabouts of the husband. However, soon after, he was found dead in front of Yachio's house. It seems that he died with a large amount of long hair in his mouth. When the residents asked Yachio's parents what had happened, they explained, "Anyone who enters her house from now on will experience the same fate. We cast a curse like that? Those children are from a new era that has finally been freed from bad customs. We regret what happened, but please let them sleep quietly." They instructed the residents to leave the house as it was. After this incident, Yachio's house remained as a place to pray for both of them. No one knew what was inside the house. They respected her parents' words and did not try to enter it. Thus, it remained as a place to pray for the two of them for a long time. Later, when it was inevitably decided to demolish the house due to aging and other reasons, the residents learned for the first time what was inside. It was what we had seen, that dressing table and the hair. Yachio's house did not have a second floor, so it was placed in a row right in front of the entrance. Realizing that it was a curse, the residents carefully moved it out as much as possible and relocated it to the newly built house, which was located a little away from the town. There was no entrance because it was not supposed to be a house where people could come and go, so the glass window was for blessings such as sunlight and ventilation. This way, the entire town was told that no one should enter the house, and it became a secret known only to adults. This was the story of that dressing table and hair. They belonged to a mother and daughter named Yachio and Takako respectively, and the text written on the paper was a secret name given as a name. This is the last story. Since that house was built, no one had dared to enter it. Similar to our time, we made sure that no one who didn't know the truth entered the house by being overly strict. However, there was one incident that occurred between our parents. A went with me to an empty house. Remember we talked a little about his family? A's grandmother and mother were originally from the town and got married and moved to another prefecture. This was not true. When A's mother, B's parents, and a boy named F went to the abandoned house when they were children, they brought a ladder and entered through the window on the second floor in the middle of the night. They were disappointed to find nothing in the room they entered through the window, so they went to the room next door. There they saw the mirror and hair, and being that it was the middle of the night, they were overcome with intense fear. However, A's mother was quite brave. She pushed aside the scared three and approached the drawer. When she tried to open it, the three frantically stopped her to bring the matter to a close, but the problem occurred after that. When they left the room and descended the stairs, they were immediately filled with fear once again. The mirror and hair were at the end of the corridor. At this point, the three decided to leave, but A's mother caused a problem, much like E did during our time. A's mother took out a piece of paper labeled in the first drawer of the mirror stand. There were also some nails in there. The three realized that this was bad and tried to forcibly pull her out of the house and return the paper. However, in the midst of struggling, the hair fell from the stick. None of them dared to touch the hair that had a strange atmosphere, and so they all left the house without. After that, they left it as it was for a couple of days, but decided to put it back before their parents found out. B's parents were unable to make it, so A's mother and F went instead. They sneaked out in the middle of the night and used a ladder to enter from the second floor. They went down the stairs, grabbed the hair with chopsticks they brought from home, and somehow managed to put it back on the stick. "Let's hurry and go back," urged F. However, A's mother tried to scare F and open the second drawer this time. Inside were a paper with the word and several teeth. F was about to cry from fear, but A's mother found it amusing and opened the third drawer for him to see what was inside. He only looked inside for a few seconds. "What's in it?" Just as she was about to peek in, he closed the drawer with a mighty thud, and stopped moving in a daze. She thought F was playing a prank on her, but then suddenly became scared and ran back home alone. As soon as she got home, she told her mother what happened. Her mother's face changed and the situation became strange. They contacted F's parents and other parents, and they immediately headed to the vacant house. After about 30 minutes, A's mother, who was waiting at home, saw F being carried back by the parents. She could see several long hairs from his mouth. B's parents were also called in afterward, and parents talked together, but F's parents didn't say anything to the three of them. However, they were glaring at A's mother the whole time with an expression that couldn't be expressed in words. After this, the three of them were told stories related to that house. Regarding F, it seemed like they were told exactly the same thing as what they had told us. A's mother became mentally distressed because of this, so her mother, unable to bear seeing her in such a state, entrusted her to relatives in another prefecture. It seems that she returned to town as a way of making amends to him. That's the end of the story. Finally, regarding the contents of the third drawer of the vanity. In the vacant house, there is Yachio's vanity on the first floor and a Takako's vanity on the second floor. In the first drawer of Yachio's vanity, there are fingernails, in the second drawer, teeth, along with a paper with a hidden name written on it. Takako's vanity contains only paper with hidden names on both the first and second drawers. The names and respectively. The third drawer in the problem is said to contain a wrist. In the Yachio's vanity, there is a right hand of Yachio and a left hand of Takako, while in Takako's vanity, there is a right hand of Kiko and a left hand of Yachio, intertwined with each other's fingers. Of course, it is unknown what state they are in currently. D and F saw it and became abnormal. Strictly speaking, it was not good that they saw it while combining the hidden names. Was written by Yachio's mother and was written by Yachio. It is said that the inside of the third drawer is filled with the readings of each. The abandoned house still exists, but it seems that today's children hardly know about it. In today's world, with so many distractions and temptations, it may not be a very noticeable existence. As for the contents of D's mother's letter, please allow me to keep it private. I was informed that D and her mother had already passed away, so I cannot speak about it.